Jetty
Very
complimented
good.
my socks from last night.
I'm on it.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to call the order of the meeting of the Finance Committee. This is Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018, and the meeting is called to order at 7 p.m. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair. Alderman O'Brien is here. Alderman at Large Kelly is here. Alderman Laws.
Here.
Alderman Clee.
Here.
Alderman Karen. Here. Alderman Harriet Gathright. We have 5 members present.
Okay. This evening, the mayor is away on important business, so I will be chairing tonight's committee meeting. Also in attendance is Dan Coogan, Purchasing Manager, John Griffin, CFO Comptroller, and I don't see him as of yet, but we're expecting maybe David Fredette to be perhaps maybe popping in. We will have other people coming up, and when you come up to speak, please introduce yourself, speak into the microphone, and we'll record you at that particular time. At this time, I would like to open it up to public comment. Anybody from the public would like to come up and address the board? Seeing none, we'll get into communications.
Thank you. We have a communication from Dan Coogan, Purchasing Manager, regarding NPD HVAC engineering study with a value of $19,600. Mr. Vice Chair, I move to accept, place on file, and award the contract to SMRT Architects and Engineers in the amount of $19,600. Funds are available in Department 150, Nashua Police Department, City Buildings Trust Fund.
Okay, and I see we do have a member of MPD available. And also, too, let the record show that we do have Alderman Gathright.
Got it.
Do you want to come up or with this? You may sit down, please. Yes. Get comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you just introduce yourself for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Michael Kerrigan, Deputy Chief of Operations with the Nashua Police Department.
Karen Smith, Business Manager, Nashua Police.
Thank you. Is there any particular questions on this item from members of the board? Okay, and this is replacing the existing HVAC system that I take has failed and everything, correct?
That's correct. It's to get the engineering study done to tell us exactly what we need to replace a failing system.
Okay, very good. All right, seeing no questions from any members of the board, all those in favor of final passage speak by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further communications.
Communication from Dan Coogan, Purchasing Manager, regarding the purchase of personal protective clothing and equipment with a value of $20,100. Mr. Vice Chair, I move to accept, place on file, and authorize the purchase from Globe Manufacturing in the amount of $20,100. Source of funding is Department 152 Fire Rescue General Operating Fund.
Very good. I do see we have a member, Representative Deputy Chief Buxton from National Fire Rescue. Please come up. Is there any questions to Chief Buxton from any of the members on the board regarding this item? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Thank you, Chief. Further communications.
Communication from Dan Coogan, Purchasing Manager, regarding downtown connector bus shelters with a value not to exceed $40,000. I move to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Brasco International, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $40,000. Funds are available in Department 186, Transportation Grant Funds.
And we have Sarah Marchant that's coming up. Yes, thank you. Have a seat, please.
Thank you. Good evening.
Is there any questions to Director Marchant on this item? Any members of the board? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Further communications.
Communication from Dan Coogan, Purchasing Manager, regarding purchase of Clerk Works software for city clerk with a value of $11,175. I move to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Innerware Development in the amount of $11,175. Source of funding is Department 122 Information Technology NGIN bonds.
Okay. And I do see we have the city clerk present. Would you please step forward? When the clerk gets situated, is there any questions by any members on the board on this purchase? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? None. Motion passes. Thank you. Further communications.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding purchase of Cisco network upgrade with a value of $16,574. I move to accept, place on file, and authorize the purchase from Custom Computer Specialists, Inc. in the amount of $16,574. Funds are available in Department 122 Information Technology General Funds.
Okay. Do you want to come up and before? And could you just introduce yourself in the microphone? Yes.
Bruce Cognon, IT Director for the City of Nashua.
Is there any questions? Yes.
One quick question. I know we just recently did an upgrade. Is this an upgrade to that, or is it just additional
This is
packages?
additional equipment that we need.
Okay,
It's not part of the scope of the telecom project,
okay,
but it's just additional hardware that we need, as well as some spares to have available, just in case one of the critical components fails.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions by any members on the board? Seeing none, move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Further communications. Thank you.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding the purchase of Mine Falls Boat Ramp with a value of $13,909. I move to accept, place on file, and authorize the purchase from Easy Dock in the amount of $13,909. Source of funding is Department 177 Parks and Recs Trust Fund.
Thank you. Please have a seat, Mr. Caggiano. Thank you. Introduce yourself, please.
Nick Caggiano, Park and Rec Superintendent.
Thank you. Any question by any members of the board on this matter? No. I like to say that I'm glad that we're doing this. I think we have underutilized an asset. We're very fortunate to have two rivers going through and increasing the boat ramp. I think also the emergency needs with the dive rescue team and everything would be a great asset in an emergency situation. So I'm glad to see this project go through. Very good. Okay, call the question. If there's no further other questions by members of the board, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. And we have further with you, I think, communications.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding purchase of playground equipment with a value of $15,846. I move to accept, place on file, and authorize the purchase from Compan Inc. in the amount of $15,846. Funds are available in Department 177 Parks and Recs General and Trust Funds.
Okay. Is there any communications to the Director of Park and Rec, Alderman Karen?
Thank you. Who else applied for this bid? Did anyone else, or was this
It's
just?
been pre-bid through the U.S. Communities
Oh,
federal contract.
okay. I'm glad to see that we're upgrading that small little playground. It's
It's
been
time.
badly needed. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
you.
And could you just mention which park we are talking about, please?
This
for
will be the
public?
Thornton Road tot lot,
Okay.
which is just after the college on the left there.
Any further questions? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further communications.
Communication from Dan Kukin, Purchasing Manager, regarding the purchase, I'm sorry, I already said that one, regarding 2018 SIP lining change order number 2 with a value of $15,995. I move to accept, place on file, and authorize change order number 2 to the contract with Lane Interline in the amount of $15,995. Source of funding is Department 169 Wastewater.
Okay. And we do have a representative of Yes, could you please come forward? Thank you. Could you state your name and introduce yourself, please?
Good evening, I'm Dave Boucher. I'm the superintendent of wastewater.
Okay, does any members of the committee have any questions of Mr. Boucher? Yes, Alderman Clayton.
The only question that I have of this is, I know it's a change order, and I know it's in the Lock Street and Cross area there. Was this just not something that was not anticipated?
Actually, this is an engineering department question.
Okay,
These projects are done through the engineering department, even though it's the wastewater funding.
okay,
So I'm not familiar with the change order. I wish
okay.
I could answer your question on that one.
I mean, I guess, I knew that they were doing some utility works and so on in there, and I just didn't know if this was just, I'm sure that it's a needed item.
Oh,
but-
definitely, I'm sure, yes. Yes, Mr. Coogan?
It's additional work that they discovered as they went along, so they had to put a change order
Yeah, I
in to
knew-
support it.
I knew that at least in one or two of those areas, that when they had dug, they have to go all the way through
Right.
to the homes and so on, up into the Cross Street area, but I just wasn't sure if it was just one location or, I mean, when I'm reading it, that's what I saw with Lock and Cross, and I think one other one, but thanks, yeah.
Okay, any further questions by any members of the committee? Seeing none, I'll move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Further correspondence.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding 2018 asphalt testing, change order number 1 with a value of $27,581. I move to accept, place on file, and authorize change order number 1 to the contract with SW Cole in the amount of $27,581. Funds are available in Department 161 Streets, General, and Trust Funds.
Are you here also for that?
No, I am not. This one and the next one, it comes through the engineering department.
Oh, okay, good.
I am
It's
here
still
for the following
please
two,
be
yeah.
seated. Mr. Coogan, I imagine, this is for, we test our asphalt to make sure it is of the quality that we have the expectation when we purchase it, and this is getting to that goal.
Excuse me?
Yes.
There is someone from the engineering department here that could probably answer that question.
Oh, yes. Can you have a seat for now? Okay, we have a pending, and we can probably go back to revisit at that
Right.
particular time. Thank you. All right. Seeing any further questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, seeing none, motion passes. Yes.
Alderwoman Barron had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, please.
I think we could have the young lady speak to us about the paving testing and, you know, even though we passed it, that way we'd have a better idea of
Right,
why
okay, and
we're
I'll
putting
open
that
to that.
testing in.
As, the question was called, and so we'll let
Yeah,
it stand, but I
right.
think an explanation can be adopted.
Absolutely,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, please.
Thank you.
Well,
Alderman
they
Karen,
wa-
please.
Okay, the question was concerning the, that paving testing. Why is that needed? So you need to speak into the,
Asphalt testing.
Well,
is-
first, could you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Mandeep Gill. I work in engineering department, and I handle paving program there, along with Mr. Steve Dukran, who's a city engineer. We mainly do asphalt testing just to make sure the hot mix that's delivered on the street is the right mix according to NHDOT specifications, and it's compacted at the right compaction rate. And then as part of asphalt testing, we do collect loose samples at the plant also, just to make sure it's the right mix, which is heading towards Nashua. So that's why.
Very good. Any additional questions? Alderman Laws?
Why the change order? Because we already approved this, right?
This is for federal paving program. It's pretty much same testing, but it has to be separate funds so that we can trace it if NHDOT asks us how much funds we have spent on testing.
Okay.
Okay. And the chair apologizes, I was confused whether she was engineering with the sewage treatment plant or City Street, so my excuse, but thank you for your explanation, so much
you.
appreciated. Okay, thank you. Further communications?
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding casting purchases for the 2018 federal paving program with a value of $110,120. I move to accept, place on file, and award the contract to E.J. Prescott, Inc. in the amount of $110,120. Source of funding is Department 169 wastewater.
Okay. Since we have the engineer present, any questions by any members of the board? Seeing none, move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Seeing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
When the clerk catches up,
Trying. All right.
further communication.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding contract for scrapped metal recycling with a value of $0. I move to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Excel Recycling LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Bouchard. Could you just introduce yourself again, that you're here?
David
in the-
Boucher, Superintendent of the wastewater facility.
Okay. Any questions by any members of the committee? Alderman Kelly.
Yes, thank you. I know recycling has come up quite a few times, so I was just wondering if you could give us a quick overview of what this is specifically and if it's affecting anything that's going on.
Yeah, thank you. This is the same company that the solid waste department uses to remove their scrap metals. We're looking to get a scrap metal container left at the wastewater facility. We've been accumulating metals through the projects. We have a lot of old equipment that's been sitting around that has to be removed, can no longer be used. Old piping that's been taken down. Also, when they do paving jobs, sewer manhole covers and castings and catch basin castings get brought to the wastewater plant. We keep the good parts for reuse, and the cracked stuff will go into this container.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Clay.
I have just one question. Why don't we sell the scrap metal, or is it just not sellable? I know when my father's passed away and we were breaking down his home and so on, we literally scrapped metal. I mean, I was at the scrap yard for every penny I could possibly get.
Yeah, that's what this is. They'll remove it for us. We don't have the equipment to truck it anywhere
Oh, okay.
at the wastewater plant. So we'll fill the container. A truck will come, pick it up,
Right.
and bring it, weigh it. We'll get the current market value for it.
Okay.
And then out of that cost, we'll pay for the trucking.
Okay. Okay. I guess I just was under.
Yeah. And then the funds will
I'm
go into
sorry,
the
I missed-
wastewater account.
I missed the one word revenue. Thank you so much. I apologize.
Any further questions by any members of the committee? Seeing none, we're going to move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you. Further communications.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding management of wastewater biosolids, Amendment 1, with a value of $260,000. I move to accept, place on file, and authorize Amendment 1 to the contract with Casella Organics in the amount of $260,000. Source of funding is Department 169 wastewater.
Okay. Mr. Bouchard is present again. Any questions by any members of the committee to Mr. Bouchard? Okay. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Clerk is ready.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding WWTF door upgrades project with a value of $136,155. I move to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Paxar Construction in the amount of $136,155. Funds are available in Department 169 wastewater.
Okay, and Mr. Bouchard is still present. Any questions by any members of the committee? Alderman Karen.
Yes, thank you. How long is it going to take them to do all these doors?
Well, this one should take relatively a short amount of time. It's, some of the doors are gonna be rehab, some have to be welded. Some of the doors will remain. We're hoping no more than 2 months. Some will fit nicely, but then again, it's gonna depend on the ordering of the doors. Some of the doors are specialty doors. They have to be corrosion control for some of the rooms that they're gonna be on, or get a lot of chemical, it's a chemical environment, so they have to be special rated. Some have to be upgraded to fire doors. And so it all depends on how quickly we can get the stuff and they can be installed.
A long time, 30 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions by any members of the committee? Seeing none, I'll move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boucher. When the clerk is ready?
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding Winters Road salt with a value of $455,000. I move to accept, place on file, and approve the purchase from Granite State Minerals, Inc. and Eastern Minerals, Inc. for a total amount of $455,000. Funds are available in Department 161 Streets General Fund.
And Mr. Coogan is here to answer any questions by members of the committee. My statement would be, it's that time of year again, isn't it? You know. Any questions by members of the committee? Okay, seeing none, move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Unfinished business.
We have none.
New business.
We have none.
Record of expenditures.
I move that the Finance Committee has complied with the city charter and ordinances pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period September 1st, 2018 to September 13th, 2018, and September 14th, 2018 to September 28th, 2018.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the records of expenditures signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, record is accepted. General discussion. Any members of the committee have any discussion? Seeing none, open to public comment. Any members of the public? Nope. Okay, moving on to the next, remarks by the alderman. Okay, seeing none, I would like to remind the alderman and to the public that we are going to go in immediately after adjournment of this. We're going to go into a non-public type of session, non-public session. So what will happen at that particular time, the cameras will go off and everything, and we'll get in. So we'll take a brief break at the end of that, okay? All right. Seeing that, I'm going to call the public session of this meeting closed. I'm going to ask that the cameras and the microphones be turned down so we can discuss. Excuse me, I got to accept a motion. Yes.
I think you should do the motion.
Yeah, thank you.
I was going to interrupt.
So therefore, I would like the clerk to make the motion.
Sure.
Yes.
I move that the Finance Committee go into non-public session by roll call pursuant to RSA 91-A 32E.
Okay, and I'm going to need a second on that. If somebody would like to second it, Alderman Karen seconds the motion. Okay, seeing that, we're going to take a roll call vote on that.
Yep. Alderman O'Brien?
Yay.
Alderman Kelly is a yay. Alderman Loss? Yay. Alderman Clee? Yay. Alderman Karen? Yay. Alderman Harry Gathright? We have 6 yeas.
Okay, motion carries. The committee will go into non-public session at 7:25.